Unbearable podcast. I'm Ryan Voss. With me as always is Drew. It's been a minute. The holidays, some other things going on. People probably thought we gave up on this, but no, we're back even through these dark days. Dark days of being a Bears fan. How you doing, Drew?
The thing is, it's pretty much, it's not just us. Like, everyone at this point is basically, I feel like, lost hope in the team this year and maybe even for a couple of years. So I guess we're just kind of here to say what's what and what we think should happen going forward, because there's, like we talked about before we hopped on, I mean, we could sit here and talk about the game. What are we going to say? Packers blew us out. It is what it is. Like, there's really nothing to discuss on that front.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually kind of a rebuild guy. Rebuilds give me hope. I liked, kind of enjoyed. That's, I think, when I was my biggest Bears fan, was when the Bears went through a rebuild and starting in 2015. And every day I'd get on the school bus, still 15 at the time, couldn't drive, and I'd just read through Bears articles. Who can they sign? Who can they draft? And then when players got on the team, I rooted for individual success. I knew as soon as we drafted Adrian Amos and Bryce Callahan that these guys were going to be players. You could say that's not true, but I did. And those are two guys I rooted for. And obviously they were good. They didn't get a second contract, but they're playing elsewhere. So, I kind of don't mind the rebuild. I'd rather have a rebuild than a disappointing team like this right now, because there's nothing to root for. There's nothing to hope for.
The only thing is just we rebuilded for so long. I mean, I think it was either 4 or 5 years we were last place in the NFC North in a row. Then we had one good year, and now here we are again just 2 years later talking about the same thing. So, I mean, I don't like to be overly negative, but I mean, I think it's fair to say that rebuild was a failure. We had 1 year of contention. That's it. 1 year.
Yeah, 1 year of contention, and then the last two have been of, mediocrity. This year might be just complete bust, which at this point, that's what we can hope for, because on a higher draft position, last night we are going to have an episode coming out dedicated to Mitch. It's a little bit of a teaser, but last night was like, we've been down on this team for like the past 3 weeks now, and last night was really like, this is your last shot. And they just blew it. They got embarrassed yet again on national television. And as someone who you could probably go back and look at earlier pods, I advocated for Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. I'm ready for them to be out the door.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just no Nagy. I was leaving last year. People were like criticizing Nagy, and I was like, "Dude, this dude just won Coach of the Year. You can't like hate on him." But he's just terrible now. Like, there's just no defending him. Pace, I think there's things he does well. Like, I don't think he's completely horrible. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, I just don't trust him to build a winning team, winning culture. I just think he's lost that.
He did do it, though. He did do it. But the problem is he made a couple bad decisions that really stopped us from being, that next step. Had we drafted Deshaun Watson, we would have probably had a Super Bowl. I'm never going to say we should have drafted Mahomes.
No, yeah, that's what. And when we talk about the Trubisky episode, I feel like we'll get more into that in that episode. I agree.
I'll save it for that.
Yeah, but I don't want to get into that too much now. But in the Trubisky episode, we're definitely going to talk about that.
But there's nothing really to talk about with the game. Like, that's why we're not going to do it. It's just beating a dead horse, just like Aaron Rodgers was beating up our defense last night, who gave up. So there's no point in talking about the games unless you want to say a highlight. I mean, the highlight was
there wasn't one
run, the 57-yard run, longest of his career. It started off like we maybe had a chance. We knew the game was over before it started, but the moment the face mask didn't get called, and
that was it.
That's when I lost all interest. I was pissed at the refs, and I was like, "There's not a shot." But it started off okay.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch looked good on the first drive. It's like, wow. That's the thing. Like, I understand we have to move off of Mitch this offseason. Again, this is more we'll talk about in the next episode. But, God, so every once in a while, he'll just make some plays. And you'll watch him, and he'll be like, I just feel like not everyone could do some of the things he does. But then every time he makes one of those wow plays, he does just something so terrible. Like that throw to Mooney yesterday, and it's like, you can just not do that. Yeah.
He did look good early. Those first couple drives, what was really the problem was the receivers not making plays for him when he tried to get on the ball. So, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about the defense until we get to a later portion. I'm going to bring something up. But, we are declaring rebuild. I think we're firmly in that camp.
And I think most people are too. I don't think it's just us at this point.
I would like I would like more than just a rebuild. Like I'd really like to shake things up. I know a couple fans were calling for Ted Phillips to be fired, for the McCaskies to sell the team. Honestly, with McCaskies in charge, I don't know if there ever will be a championship. To be honest with you, I would like them to kind of sell it. And a lot of people are saying that Ted Phillips, he's like only the marketing guy and to make the team money, but he still hires the GM. So I don't know. We really need like a shake up down to its core. I think there's no player that's safe anymore.
I would agree, which is so hard because when you look at this roster just 2 years ago, we were saying this is a championship roster, and now we're terrible and no player is safe. A couple guys, I feel like if we're this bad, you gotta get value out of the players that have value though. I mean, Allen Robinson, I think it's safe to say. I've been on all season. I don't think we should pay him the money he wants. I'm not saying he's a bad wide receiver because he's pretty good, but he's not DeAndre Hopkins. He's not Julio Jones. He's not DK Metcalf. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not those guys. Kyle Fuller, I feel like you need to get rid of him while he still has value, which is tough, but he's just making way too much money. And the other thing is Eddie Jackson, who has been my favorite player on the Bears yesterday. He got absolutely burned by Robert Tonyan last night. And when I saw that, I was like, I just feel like he's overrated at this point, honestly.
All right, I will that will bring. Okay, so who's your three players besides rookies? Because there's two rookies, Darnell Mooney and Jalen Johnson, that I'm really high on. But besides rookies, who would you want to keep around? Like, who are your untouchable players if you had to like protect them if there was like an expansion draft? Who are the three guys?
Roquan Smith, because he's someone you could build a defense around.
He was mine as well.
This is tough. I would say Khalil Mack, just because players like him don't come around that often. I know he's probably the most valuable player we have, but getting a guy like him is just so rare. I feel like you can't just let him go.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right. Well, the reason I did this 3 is because I was thinking about it. I don't really think that there's 5 worth keeping around.
No, there's really not. Yeah.
The thing with Khalil Mack is there was the talks if you could trade Khalil Mack, Allen Robinson, and your second-round picks to get number 1 Joe Burrow, I would have done that. I don't think
I wouldn't do it for Lawrence, though.
You wouldn't?
No, I don't think Lawrence. This might be unpopular opinion. I think Lawrence is overrated.
All right, that's a podcast for down the road.
Okay.
Definitely, we're gonna have to dive into that. But I would trade Khalil Mack if it means I'm getting, the quarterback of the future. You're not going to win without a quarterback in this league. I think Mack's been good, but I don't think he's.
How about Khalil Mack for Jimmy G in a first?
No, I don't even want Jimmy G being signed for. I mean, if we could sign him for a couple million, sure, but no. He's out of his way with the 49ers. He's out the door.
That's what I'm saying. There's a possibility he gets moved this offseason. So
yeah, he's going to get Ryan Tannehill traded for a 6th round pick or whatever it was. There's no way you're getting a first rounder and Khalil Mack for him.
No, they give us a first, and we give them. They give us a first round pick and Jimmy G, whatever pick they have this year, which could be pretty decent, and Jimmy G.
High.
Yeah, for Khalil Mack.
I don't know. Now maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. All right, so finish it off. You got Khalil Mack, you got Roquan, which I also have in my list. Who's your third guy?
I mean, there's no one that stands out as we can't lose this guy, honestly. But if I had to pick one, I guess I would probably say either James Daniels or Cody Whitehair. Take your pick of one of those two because they're our best O-linemen, and offensive line is important. So either pick your poison on one of those two. But I mean, I would say Akeem Hicks, but he's old, so there's really no point in hanging on to him if you can get decent value for him. Outside of that, I guess Eddie Goldman, but he hasn't played this year, so.
Yeah, that's concerning that he hasn't played this year. Let's hope he's still in football shape next year when he comes back. For me, Roquan, definitely. I think Roquan's having the best season of his career, top 10 in the league. Number 2 is actually Kyle Fuller for me. I know he has a lot of value, but I still think he's only like 28 or 29. That's relatively a good age for a cornerback still. And he's just a baller. He didn't give up last night. When the rest of the defense bailed, he didn't. He kept playing. He's a hard hitter. He's a good decision maker. I love him. And then for the third, I want to say Eddie Jackson. I know he's a little bit overrated, but I still think he has it within him. A couple times I had to rewind a play because I thought he was maybe afraid to tackle
He
Like
is.
that's
No, he is afraid to
yeah.
tackle.
I don't like that. I wish we had like a hard hitting safety, but it's between Eddie Jackson and believe it or not, between Tariq Cohen. Tariq,
Wow.
he just seems like a team guy. He's a guy you want to have around, especially he's getting, becoming a vet. He's older now. With the rookies, he's got good energy about him, and he is a weapon on offense. I think his best year might have been his rookie year, but I think the offense has been limited and changed what it could do since he's been out this year. So I wouldn't mind keeping Tariq around. I mean, he just seems like a career Bears guy, in my opinion.
This is another thing too. Like you brought up Kyle Fuller, and it reminded me, if we do end up keeping Kyle Fuller, which I mean, obviously no one knows, but let's just say hypothetically we do, we need to change. We're too easy to game plan for offensively. How easy was it for the Packers to put Devontae Adams in the slot when they know Kyle Fuller is not going to be there and just get him wide open because Buster Screen's not good enough to cover him? And that's no
Yes.
fault on Buster Screen. He's just not good enough to cover Devontae Adams. No one expects him to be able to. But Jesus, you got to move Fuller onto Devontae Adams. You can't just have him in one spot. It's way too easy to pick that apart.
Yeah, that's on Pagano, and no one's saying that Pagano is the best defensive coordinator. I think Vic Fangio is hard shoes to fill, but you got so much talent on that defense. I expect more out of it. I do. That's asking a lot because we already ask everything out of our defense.
But yesterday was terrible. That was pathetic. Yeah.
And I think Khalil Mack, I know stat sheets really don't matter, but he should be padding the stat sheet a little bit more. And I think the thing about Vic is Vic was very aggressive. Chuck Pagano, he plays a little bit more soft, in my opinion. I kind of like the aggressiveness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you got the pass rushers that we have, why are we paying pass rushers top end money if we're going to drop them off in coverage half the time? It doesn't make any sense.
Robert Quinn's deal is going to fuck us. I'm just going to say
it's almost like Chuck Pagano wants us to be a 4-3, and he doesn't have the team for it, but he's just going to do it anyway, which is not how you win. But he should be the first one going. I'd fire him today because that was embarrassing yesterday.
Oh, I think Matt Nagy should be fired today. I don't know, but the thing is if Nagy was fired, you know who would probably become the coach? Pagano. Pagano was a head coach, so I don't know. All right, so say they're fired in the offseason. What coach do you want to go out and get?
I mean, there's the obvious big-time candidates. Joe Brady, who was offensive coordinator at LSU last year, and I believe is calling plays for Carolina right now.
Yeah, and he's made Teddy Bridgewater is the best quarterback that was like available last offseason. You know what I'm saying? He's panned out the best. He's better than Nick Foles, better than Cam Newton. Like it's better than Phillip Rivers. Like Teddy Bridgewater. I might start calling him Teddy Quarterback. That's how solid of a year he's having at least.
Everyone's saying the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. I forgot the guy's name, and I understand. Yeah, I understand why people would say that, but that's what we did last time. We just got Andy Reid's coordinator, and look where we are now. So I just don't trust that. Going down the
same route.
Yeah. Other than that, you look at college guys. I mean, there's ones I would love to get Lincoln Riley. Do we see him leaving Oklahoma? No. Urban Meyer would obviously be amazing. Do we see him coming to coach us? No. So I think it's not going to be easy until we know. Or not going to be easy to say until we know who's going to be available. But off the top of my head, I would say Joe Brady is probably going to be first on pretty much everyone's list this year.
Yeah, Eric Bieniemy. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm going to Houston. I mean, if you're not going to have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, Deshaun Watson's the next best thing. I mean, out of all quarterbacks that are under age 30, those are the best two, and it's not even close.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
No,
you think Deshaun Watson's better than Kyler Murray?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The thing, I know everyone comes at Kyler for his size, but who knows? Maybe he's not going to hold up. He may not be able to run around forever. I mean, you're seeing that with Lamar. He had a great season last year, but everyone knows that Ravens team's not the same Ravens team, and Lamar's not the same quarterback. Deshaun Watson's just one of those guys. When they referred to him as Jordan, I mean, they weren't kidding. I mean, he is. I mean, the Texans suck, but he's still having a good year. He could do it all. You feel like good with him in there. I'm very high in Deshaun Watson. I don't know how you can't be.
No, I love Deshaun Watson. I loved him coming out of Clemson, but from watching him play these few years, and don't get me wrong, he's a great quarterback. I'm not trying to say he's bad, but everyone trashes on their own line, and rightfully so. But if you watch him play consistently, there's a lot of times where he just holds the ball for way too long and takes unnecessary. It's almost like he's always trying to make the big play instead of taking what the defense gives him. But I mean, that's expected for a young guy, but that's something he has to clean up,
Yeah, he's got room to grow. I mean, quarterbacks don't hit the stride till, like 30. Then you're like, oh, he's in his prime,
Yeah.
Finally, the game's like slows down. And Patrick Mahomes said himself, he still doesn't fully understand it, which is kind of a scary thought. But
Yeah.
so for me, the coach would be Joe Brady, just because you saw what he did at LSU, which was unreal. You got to credit most of that to him too, I believe, what he did at LSU, because especially he was also the wide receiver coach, and all the receivers got drafted and are good pros like Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Um, and I would love Joe Brady, and I'd love to pair him with Zach Wilson. That's the quarterback I want the Bears to draft.
Oh, I was thinking of Zach Taylor from the Bengals. My bad. Yeah,
No,
Zach Wilson.
I think
I
that's
have like a
realistic.
prospect crush on him. I actually think he's going to be really good.
I think that's like Lawrence is gone. Fields is probably gone. Although if Fields doesn't clean up the turnovers, maybe not. He was so good the first couple of games, but then
He didn't do anything against Indiana. He was terrible against Indiana.
Yeah, that made him look bad. But yeah, I think those are the first two gone, and then it comes down. I haven't heard much from Trey Lance, but I guess he's not playing this year, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt him.
Yeah, and then you got Trask and you got Wilson, and those are going to probably be, after those top three. So I think it's realistic we could get Wilson, and he's just got some swagger about him, and I like that. You pair him with a guy that knows quarterbacks like Joe Brady. I think it's going to take some years, but that could be a good combo. I really, really like that.
Yeah, I think Zach Wilson is really good. This is unpopular. This is just me. If I had the first pick and I needed a quarterback, that's who I would go with, is Zach Wilson. Honestly, I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. Lawrence second. But yeah, I mean, if we have a chance to get him, we have to get that done, because he's someone who could run, he could throw on the run. And when everything looks lost and all hope is gone, he can make something happen out of nothing, which is something that you want out of your quarterback.
I was about to say, remember the year Mike Ditka, when he was on the Saints, traded every single pick for Ricky Williams?
Yeah.
I was about to say I wouldn't be mad if the Bears did that to get a quarterback this year, but it depends who's making that decision.
I just don't think we have a good enough roster to be able to say, okay, we got the quarterback, now we're good,
It doesn't matter. No, that's not it. We just need a guy for the future. I mean, you know what happened? You saw what happened to Joe Burrow, torn ACL.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hopefully the Bengals could get better and he'll be back next year, but I mean, you need a quarterback in this league. So I'm throwing everything. The problem is I want to make sure that a smart person's making that decision and we don't end up with another Trubisky. Quarterbacks the past couple of years have been good. We've seen Herbert, Tua, Burrow. They all had good rookie seasons. Of course, now Herbert's going to have the best one. Just Kyler is having a good success. Who else is in 2019? I'm drawing a blank.
Kyler. Yeah, I don't remember either. It might have just been Kyler.
It might have. Well, even 2018. I mean, Josh Allen looks like he's a good quarterback. Lamar Jackson. Like, there's been some good quarterbacks coming out. The future.
I mean, the only one that's been like complete garbage has been Rosen. He's like out of the league now. But I mean, Sam Darnold hasn't been that good. But he's also on the Jets, so I feel like it's unfair to judge him. Baker, I feel like I'm not saying he's good, but I feel like people trash him more than they should. Like, his team's 8-3 right now. Like, give the guy a break, But yeah, I mean, lately the prospects have been pretty good, but that makes me nervous. Like, we're due for a year where everyone just stinks, and of course, if we're going to pick one then.
Oh, we picked the one we had 2 Hall of Famers in 2017, and we picked the bust.
Yeah.
But I'm
going to say this, though. I know Trubisky so far is a bust, but I honestly think he has a chance to be like Ryan Tannehill 2.0, or if he gets the right situation, right system, he could maybe be something.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, he's got the athletic makeup. I don't think he has the decision making, but someone needs to teach him football, and obviously Matt Nagy, the offensive guru, isn't that person.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else to talk about?
I don't even know what to say about this team anymore, so I'm gonna just say no. But
yeah.
I'm sure there is, but I don't even know what to say. I mean, I feel like we could go on for 7 hours, but it's one video at a time, so.
Yeah, we are gonna try to do. We're gonna do a pick-on episode. I actually got my NFL T-shirt on. Now I'm just rooting for the NFL if I'm not rooting for the Bears. We'll do a pick-on episode. We got to get those in. Those are my favorite episodes because they're a lot more fun to talk about than the 5-6 Bears who lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
But we'll try to do a Bears video each week. This video, it was us on the Unbearable podcast declaring to our 37 followers that the season's over. It's time to look to the future. So drop down in the comments what you think the Bears should do in the offseason. Tell us who your 3 untouchable players are. Let's try to get some conversation going. I mean, at this point, I'm down for anything. But I think the first action is to get a quarterback.
I think the first action is to chop some people. Get them out. Nagy out. Pace out. Restart. Get some new guys in there.
That's what I want. All right, we're back. So expect a video later for us in the week. We appreciate you guys watching. Have a good one.